Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. I call this our Mindfulness Bootcamp. Idea is that we meet once a week, kind of like sharpen your knife, and then hopefully you follow up with the practice during the week. Everything that we do here is recorded on my other channels, obviously including YouTube and Facebook. So we call it Mindfulness Bootcamp, and very often we think of mindfulness as a end to itself and not as an entry point to a much more profound practice. So, back in the days when I was a professor at UCLA, I had a very good friend who was a Israelis, and he often tells these very simple, stupid, and funny joke that they're very popular in Israel. And the one that I remember was the one about an older brother who was serving in the Israeli Defense Force and had a break. So he came home, and his younger brother was very excited to see him. So his older brother, with a little bit of pocket money now, says, "Let's go see a movie." So they went to see a movie. They went into the theater, and then eventually the curtains opens and the camera light, the light went on, and it was an MGM movie. So if you remember MGM movie, there was a lion would come out. The lion would say roar like this, and then the younger brother got up and he says, "I saw this movie. Let's go." Stupid, but it's really funny. It says that many people would think of mindfulness as the practice, whereas it's really just the beginning of a practice. The beginning of the practice basically consists of not just mindfulness, which I call anchoring your mind on your breath, anchoring your mind on your body, but it also consists of faith in humankind, faith in yourself, faith that you have done the best that you could, and then other people have to do what they have to do. And then what glues the faith and the mindfulness together is what we call diligence. And so that's basically what we do here. It's just practicing that foundation, going from faith to mindfulness and back to diligence and so forth. However, we do separate into two different classes. So today is more about the body. And very often people who meditate forgot about the body. They think that it's all about the mind. So that's why it's called mindfulness meditation. Whereas it's actually equally important to pay attention to the body and to understand that what connects the body to the mind is what we call chi. And chi is just the energy in you or the energy outside of you. And so today we're actually practicing more about the energy outside of us and how to let that energy comes into our body. Now, the Indians, many thousands of years ago, understood that. And so they call that life energy as well. And the word is called nadi. And so they think that there's like 72,000 channels through your body where the energy can flow. And as a being in the universe, if you want to be healthy, then you want to make sure that that life energy flow through you. When that knowledge came to China because of their understanding of the astrology, they abstracted into an energy flow in their body according to the sun. And so we talk about the 12 channel in the body according to the sun. And we actually divide them into five elements: the water, the vegetation, the fire, the sun, that way, the fire, sorry, and then also the mineral, and then finally the soil, right? All right, so that's what we're doing here is just clearing these channels, and then ultimately later on at the very end of the class we will do a qigong exercise. Qigong exercise that came from Bodhidharma, the original Indian yogi that came to China about 1600 years ago that taught the Chinese how to meditate. He's actually considered the patriarch of the Zen meditation. All right. Okay, so let's get started. Today, we're going to do some massage, starting with the fingertips, get all the way to the end, the toes, starting with some tapping, some pressure, acupressure, tapping of the top of the head all the way to the bottom of feet. All right. So that's a good 5 minutes introduction for those of you who are here for the first time. And but again, remember now that we are actually not just practicing the body, not just for body, but also the mind. Okay, so when we do all the things that we hear, we have to come back to what I explained is the mindfulness, which is anchor your mind on your body when you move, anchor your mind on your breath when you don't move. When you don't move is when you stand, when you sit, when you lie down. When you move is when you walk and when you exercise, or when you work in the kitchen or wherever, when you actually move in your body. So we're going to start with the left hand, and we always start with the fingertip because the energy flows from from the inside of your body to out into the universe. We call that yang, and then the energy come back, and we call that yin. So the extremities are very important. If the extremities are blocked, then the entire energy flow will block. So we start with the fingertip. So let's start with the left hand. Let's pick up our right thumb, and then we just use the thumb to very gently massage the fingertips. Keep in mind that we're working with energy channels. So we don't actually have to beat it into submission. We just have to kind of excite it, right? So when we pat, we tap it, we're exciting the channel. And when we massage, we're also exciting the channel. So now that you get the fingertips work finished, then we're going to work on the joints. So again, back to the left hand, focus on one finger at a time, focus on one joint at a time. Once again, using your right thumb. And as you massage the joint in the front, in the left, back to the front, back to the right, I want you to focus entirely on the joints. Feel the joints. See if there's any change in the joints, any heat that you generate. So after you finish one joint, you go to another one. After you finish one finger, you go to the next finger. And you always practice here, meaning that once it's done, you let it go. Just the same way that you let go of your past. The past is not going to help you now. Whatever you learned from the past, you already learned. And there's no reason to get attached to the past, right? And there's no reason to get attached to the future. It hasn't happened yet. At least during this hour and a half boot camp, I want you to think about that. What happens in the past, whatever you had in the for breakfast, it's already done. Don't focus on that. Whatever's going to happen after class, we'll do it after class. Right now, we're going to learn to anchor a mind on the body. All right. So we finished with the left hand. Now we start with the right hand. Once again, focus on the joints and anchor your mind on your body. So in fact, we're doing meditation, but it's meditation in motion. Right? You're actually moving while you're meditating. Okay. All right. So now we're done with the palm, with the scent, with the inside of a palm. So we're going to turn around and start on the back side of a hand. Once again, starting with the fingertip. So this time we use the thumb and the index finger and put that on the two corners of the fingernails and just kind of massage it a little bit. Okay. Now we go on the other side. And then we're back to the joints. Again, one finger at a time, one joint at a time. Now, there's a very simple saying in Chinese. So in English, you would just say qi, and as if that's it. In Chinese, it's very rare that you describe something with just one word because one word has too many meanings, right? Chinese language can be precise and ambiguous at the same time. So we often add a second word. So qi actually in Chinese is shi qi. Shi means blood. Finish your left hand, now go to the right hand. Okay, so in a way, sure, and qi is like the electricities and the magnetism. And there's a very simple saying. It says if the blood is blocked, then you have pain. And if the qi is blocked, then you have swelling. That's how the body reacts to blockage of the life energy. All right, so now we're done with the fingertip, we're done with the joints. We're going to work on the knuckles. So let's bring our left hand together. We low focus on these four knuckles. We take our right thumb. We're going to use the edge of the thumb and just put it inside. All right. So there's increasing understanding of what these energy channels are, and they're related to what we call fascia, right? Fascia is myofascia. So fascia is just muscle. It's really the connected tissue of the muscle. It's very limited, and so but that's the best we can have. We can do. The Chinese actually don't think of just the connected tissue in your muscle, but all the connected tissue within your body. Now you take the right thumb, you use the edge of the thumb, and then you put it in between the bones. All right. So in fact, what we're doing here is fascia massage. We're not massaging the muscle, we're not massaging the tendon, we're actually massaging the connected tissue. So when we massage like this, that you always find the kind of the cave, the kind of whatever is in between. All right. So in fact, the word energy points doesn't translate well in Chinese. It just means cave. So after you massage in between the bones, you see how the fingers come together at the wrist. You can actually use the thumb and you can feel to a little dimple. And so I want you to put some pressure on that. All right. Okay, now we're done with the four fingers. So the thumb, we're going to massage the thumb all by itself. We use the thumb the most. In fact, even before we were born, we were sucking our thumb inside the mother's womb. Huh? And it's the thumb that allows the human being to evolve to what it is, right? So and it doesn't really matter if you are office worker or a farmer. It's always the thumb. Okay, so we're going to massage the thumb. There's a cavity here, right below here. So you're going to put some pressure here. Now there's an energy point right here. So when you look at the thumb, you see like a drumstick. There's a big part here. So this is a very important energy point. Okay, so I want you to use the knuckle and just put some pressure. Right. Okay. Now we're going to do the other hand again, holding the right hand as a very soft fist, exposing the knuckle. Use the left thumb, put the edge of the thumb in between the knuckle, and then massage in between the fingers, the bones of that becomes the fingers, and then massage, do some acupressure here, and then massage the thumb individually all the way around. And and then there's an energy point here, kind of massage that, and then use knuckle and just put some pressure here. Okay. All right. All right. So now we're going to come to the center of a palm. There's a very important energy point here, um, and it's basically between the middle finger and the index finger, right to the middle. So if you kind of if you want, you can take the fingers and fold it like this. It's just right there. Okay, so now we're going to use the knuckle and put some pressure here. Now, this is the only energy point that can give out energy. Okay, so it's why we call it a healing hand. Huh? We can actually heal ourselves with that and heal others with that. Now, go to the other side. Okay, all right, so now we're going to put these two together. Imagine there's a circle, and we're going to rub our hands together clockwise. But it's very important that you focus on that. You anchor your mind on the center of your palm as you put your hand together. Okay. And then you put the right hand on top of the left hand and squeeze the fingers together and let's massage. And then back the other way. Now, so the question is that point, I guess you were asking, this point is for the heart. Okay. So the Chinese, the word heart, again, it can be precise and ambiguous at the same time because it depends on what you conjugate it with. So that word heart can means the organ, the thing that is pumping, can actually means the mind, and it can means the center. So I talk about the five elements, but there's actually 12 energy lines. So they split the mind, the heart, into two. One is here and one is here. Now, this one is actually called the pericardium. It's actually all the muscles around the heart. So I would say that is the heart. And so this energy point is actually very good for the heart. But not only this, I'll talk about another energy point here, basically along the center line. Okay. Now, whereas the other one is really the mind, it's the brain, it's the mind, right? It's the thinking mind. and I'll talk about that too, right? So, but the problem we have is that we always associate things that we don't understand with things that we do understand. We have a much better understanding from a Western perspective. So when I say mind, when I say heart, you know what I'm talking about because you can point to a organ. And when I say splint or liver or kidney, you know what I'm talking about. Except that that's not really what the Chinese talks about. So it's just how the words translate. But when they say heart or mind, they're talking about the fire element. And when they talk about the splint, they're talking about the earth element. And when they talk about kidney, they're talking about the water element. So we would often talk about the kidney energy, and it starts from the bottom of the feet and then it goes all the way to the top of the head. You would say, well, what happened to the kidney, the one that we actually, well, it kind of evolves that, but it's really the water element. So it's not just the kidney, but it's all the glands, all the hormone part. But anyway, that's the thing that we have to do, right? Now, I'm not a doctor, so obviously, and I have a PhD, but that's doctor in philosophy. I don't know why they do that. But in any case, uh, I don't, I don't deal with sickness. I don't deal with sickness. I deal with health. Okay, so what we call health care is really sickness care. So if your body is sick and you need care, then you go to the doctor because what even though they call themselves health care, it's really sickness care. What we do here is health. We're trying to um, really uh, create the environment where health can sustain itself. It's more and more about self healing. Okay, and all right. So where are we? All right. Okay, we did this. All right. So now we continue. We continue with the finger exercise. Now, you notice that I spent a lot of time on the fingers, and part of the reason is that our fingers are the one that tend to ache the most, right? Because arthritis, as we age, that's what we know is that our fingers hurts a lot, and we make it go away by taking um, painkiller. But in fact, it's not just the fingers that are hurting; it's the entire body that is inflamed, right? So here we're really only we're dealing with chronic inflammation. That's the biggest problem we have is chronic inflammation. And the reason that we have chronic inflammation is because when the body was designed, it was designed to have its own self healing power. So when you are in the fight or flight mode, the body puts out cortisol, which is steroid, to reduce the inflammation. So when it's only when you lose the sensitivity to the cortisol that your body inflames. All right. So anyway, we'll come to that. I'll come to that. All right. So we are with, and then the one other exercise I like to do is I like to pull the fingers like that. Okay. So my point is that when you do this finger exercise, not only will it help the fingers reducing the inflammation, what we would call arthritis, but it also improves the energy flow in your entire body. And so one of the things that I do when I take my trip, I get stuck on the airplane for 13 hours, 15 hours, cross Pacific flights, and I'm very sensitive to my body, so I know that my body is starting to inflame because I'm not moving, I'm not exercising. And so, but then there's only so much I can do, even if I walk out into the aisle near, where the bathroom is, where I could have more room to stand on my toes. I do that kind of exercise, but still, it's very limited exercise for 12, 13 hours. It's not a good thing. And so what I find is that if I just sit there and do the finger exercise, the massage, I can feel the energy within me. All right. Okay. So now we're done with that. We continue thinking that we have a lot more to do. So now what I want you to do is sit up straight. Remember now we are working on chi. So ultimately the chi passes through your spine all the way to the top of the head. So I want you to sit up straight, lift up your shoulder, Open your shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Now I want you to put your hands together, the fingers touching and the center of the palm touching, pushing the palms together, and then lift up the elbow, and then bring down the palm, bring down your hand. You can feel the pressure on your wrist, but don't, okay, continue to press the center of palm together. All right. Okay. All right. So actually, I skipped two important exercises. So let's continue. So we'll come back to the finger exercise. We're not quite there yet. So this next exercise is a very famous exercise, very simple. It's actually invented by a professor in Taiwan who actually, after he retired, this is very happens in academia, is that people who retire, they retire late. They don't retire at 65. They sometimes retire 75, 80. And then once they retire, then their health deteriorate. Okay, and so this professor at Taiwan actually had a stroke, and then he went and seek uh, 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 qigong masters, and this is the exercise that he does. It's very popular. So you take your thumb, you take your index finger, and you push as hard as you can. That's it. And then you take your thumb and the middle fingers, and you push as hard as you can. And finally, to the ring finger, same thing, and then the tiny fingers and push. Now you back to the index finger. This time you put your thumb in the middle of the index finger and you push the middle finger, the middle of the middle finger, and you push and then push and then squeeze as hard as you can, right? Now, the reason why it works is because, again, the Chinese, they don't think of the organs as individual components that have to work together and that are working separately, but they rather think of it as an energy that are working together. And so they believe that the fingers, the five fingers, stands for the five elements: uh, the water, the soil. Right? I remember the water, the vegetation, the fire, and then the soil, and then the mineral. And they actually think that the fingers represent all those five elements, which means that the fingers actually represent each of the organs. Michelle says, "What if I have nails?" Well, cut it off, or don't come to class. You can't, okay? Because the fingertips is important. So if you could use the fingertips while you still have long nails, well, good for you. But otherwise, it's one of the compromise you have to make. It's not compromise, it's priority. Okay, whatever you want to do is fine. I don't have fingernails, right? And most of my students do not because it doesn't work. Okay, all right. And fingernails are dead anyway, so why would you want that? Well, that's just me. I often make my own decisions and say what I believe, but that doesn't mean that is something that is pleasant to hear. But in any case, now we're going to go to the next finger exercise. And why fingers so important? So if you look at it from a modern science standpoint, the fingers is the beginning of our evolution. Our ancestors, hundreds of millions of years ago, discovered the use of the thumb and the rest of the hand so that they can hold on to a branch to protect themselves, which is how they walk down from the tree and then start walking upright and start to do all the things that human being can do that other animals in the species doesn't do that well. So the fingers is tied to the brain. So when you do the finger exercise, it enhances the brain and and uh, um, 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 prevents deterioration. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I was afraid that maybe I offended you. Okay, anyway, let's come back to the practice. All right. So this next finger exercise has to do with the brain, particularly has to do with the left brain and the right brain, which is really the key to preventing dementia. The first sign of dementia is not the loss of memory, it's not the loss of cognitive function, it's the loss of balance. All right. So the left brain and right brain is very together. It's very important that they work separately. Um, my father suffered from dementia. Not only did I recognize that he was losing balance, he was changing personality because one side of the brain is typically what's considered our logical part, and the other part is the emotional part, and we tend to know how to separate them. But as your brain deteriorates, they get all mixed up, right? Anyway, this next exercise is very good, and So we sit up straight, open our shoulder, lean back, relax. We bring up our right hand, which means that we're using the left side of the brain, and we exercise one finger at a time. So we first bring in the thumb, then we bring in two fingers, then the index fingers, then the little fingers. Then we bring down the right hand, bring up the left hand, meaning that we use the right side of our brain. Once again, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Bring them up together, squeeze as hard as you can, then open the fingers in the reverse order, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Stretch as hard as you can. Second time, right hand, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Left hand, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Squeeze as hard as you can. Right fan, open it up, reverse order, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Stretch as hard as you can. One last time. All right, one last time. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Squeeze as hard as you can. Open it. Index, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then stretch as hard as you can. And that's it, right? Now we're back to this one. And we push, we lift up our elbow, we bring it down and relax. Now we start tapping, okay? Tapping. Again, is exciting the energy lines. So we tap at the fingertips, which I explained is very important. And so now this is where you need to understand that we're not just exercise here. It's really the body, the mind, and the bridge between them, which is the chi. So here is what now it's time to do mindful meditation, but it's mindfulness in motion. So even though when we're just tapping a finger, now is the time that we actually focus on the fingertip. We meditate while we tap. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, now we cross the fingers and we do the same thing 30 times. Okay, and then now we look at the palm, and I mentioned that there's three energy lines that are the yin energy line. Yin means the shadow away from the sun, and then the yang is the sun, right? So yang in this case is energetic, yin is restorative. Okay, and so here we have the line that we associate with the mind. Here we have a line that we associate with the lung. But again, you really need to think of it as the fire and the mineral. All right. All right. So now we're going to tap this energy point. So these two energy points are very similar, right? They are both this big drumstick part. There's a little drumstick here. So we put the palm together like this, forming a V. We tap that 30 times. Okay. Get ready. Go. Okay. Now a lot of you suffer from insomnia, right? Now, insomnia is extreme, which basically means that you cannot sleep. All night you're looking at the ceiling. But it's not just insomnia, but the quality of your sleep is very important, right? So last week I wrote about neuro, Neuro, N is from nutrition. That's obviously important. E is exercise, the kind of exercise that we do here that maintain the harmony is very important. So energetic exercise is good, creates a lot of stress hormone, reduce inflammation. However, if that's all you do over time, your body develop this thing called the cortisol resistance, and the you're no longer sensitive to it, which means that your body start to inflame, right? Your body start to inflame, and now we have what's called chronic inflammation, and mainly because you haven't learned to come back to the rest and digest, right? This is what modern people do, is that they're always energized. They're energized 24/7. And so over time, the body reduces its sensitivity to cortisol, and you lose that self-healing power. Okay, so it's very important that you kind of restore that. And so one of the big reasons why you cannot sleep, or because, or that your your quality of sleep is not good. Keep in mind that you sleep not just for the body. If it's all about the body, 3 hours is all you need, right? And that, and you know that when you're very tired, you fall to sleep 3 hours later, 2 hours later, you wake up because your body actually have restored. What you really need is to restore your brain, right? You need to kind of uh, you know do the house cleaning of your brain, and that needs a little bit more. And so the quality of sleep is very important. So two reasons why the quality of the sleep deteriorates. One is you have too much stress hormone. When you have too much cortisol, you don't have any melatonin, and that's the problem. The other problem is that your mind start to lose its power, right? The mental power you start to lose. So the Chinese believe that this line right here associate with your mental power. And we'll talk about some of the energy points here that are very famous that people have discovered that could help them sleep. And this one that we just did is that, right? I forgot whether we did that or not. But in any case, right? So you just do this, right? So let's do that 30 times, all right? Get ready? Go. Okay, now we do the opposite, which is the lung or the mineral line. And so again, we form a V and you go like this. Okay, so when I talk about the mental power, it's not just, I think the best way for me to explain it is in terms of elasticity. Elasticity means that you take something, you pull it, and it returns to shape, right? That's what you want. Now, the brain is like that. You know, we use it a lot, but then we have to rest it, right? So rather than saying mental power, it's really more like mental elasticity. And when you cannot relax your brain, you cannot go to sleep, right? You keep thinking about things that you have to convince yourself, hey, you know, it's time to sleep. You just have to go. And so now, what's interesting is that the energy line here called the mind, the energy line here called the lung, there's the yang side of that. The other side is the small intestines and the large intestine. So actually, the Chinese understood the direct link between your neurological health and your digestive health. And now there's study that says, oh yeah, because Parkinson, people who suffer from Parkinson often suffer from the digestion problems, right? So it's very important that you maintain your probiotic health, right? I don't recommend that you go to Costco and buy probiotic, right? Probiotic is something that should be grown inside your body, that tailor to yourself rather than externally. So I would focus more on things that you eat that promotes the probiotic. So these days they call prebiotic, right? So things that has a lot of water soluble fiber. Avocado, I believe in that. Olive oil, believe in that, right? Things like that. You can look it up. All right. Okay. So now, so how do we work on the small intestines? So we it's on the outside, facing the sun. It's actually on the edge of the palm. So you take your hand, you fold it, you see this line, and it's right there. So we're gonna put our palms together, fold it flat, roll up our fist, and we're gonna tap that 30 times. You ready? Go. Okay, now remember this energy point and remember this energy point. We're going to be using that later on when we tap the rest of the body or do a massage. All right. Now, the other side is the large intestine. So interesting is the lung and the large intestines are tied together. The lung is more than the organ that takes in oxygen. It's actually the intake of all the nutrients, right? So it works together with the heart and so this is like the input side, and the large intestine is like the output side. And the two has to work together. Now, this particular energy point is called the merging valley. It actually has a special benefit, which is to reduce pain. Okay, remember now, pain comes from blockage or chi. So if it opens up your chi, it reduces pain. And I use this almost once a week. In the middle of the night, for some reason, I had the wrong food, particularly if I had the wrong soy sauce. If I go out and eat, and it's not the kind of soy sauce that I usually consume at home. The kind of soy sauce I consume are naturally fermented. Um, but if I go to a restaurant, they're very artificially fermented, they're industrialized soy sauce, and I tend to have muscle cramp when that happens. And in the middle of the night, this is the energy point that I use to relieve myself of the pain. So how do you find this energy point? It's very simple. You take your fingers, you go like this, you see the ridge here. You take your thumb, you see the line here. You put the line on the ridge and you push down like this. And you just keep moving around until you find that one right orientation where when you push down, it feels a little bit numb, right? Sore, and like that. And then the other side, you do this, okay? So when in the middle of the night, I have muscle cramp, if it's very severe, I get up in the morning. I would get up and drink a little bit of, put a little bit of salt in the water and just drink that. That would definitely remove the muscle cramp. People are different. Some people have that. I don't know why it runs in my family. Or I'm too lazy. So I just right foot clamp, do the left finger, and or the other way. And what you do is that it's as if you're transferring the pain. You push it down. Don't cause pain, right? Don't use your fingernail. Use the flat part of your thumb, and then all of a sudden you find that the pain goes away. The tightness is still there, but because the pain go away, you can deal with the tightness by just relaxing. All right. Okay. So now we're gonna tap that energy point using this one. Put that together 30 times. The other way. Now, keep in mind that you're doing meditation here. So always anchor your mind. It's as if you're playing an instrument. Okay. When you play an instrument, you don't play the music. You don't play the note, right? You play with your ear, correct? Yeah. So here you go. Listen. Okay. Every once in a while, I get invited to see a Japanese drum playing. It's really amazing, and you just know that they when they play the drum, it's a full body experience. They listen to it, they feel it. They can even coordinate their heartbeat with the drum. It's a full body experience, and that's what you have to do. It's a full body experience. Okay. All right. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some finger work to really send some energy out, and then having the reaction back. But before we do that, we need to clear the channel here, doing some scraping. All right. Now, but before we do that, let's just go back to some very famous energy point. Gotta be famous because you can see it on TikTok, and this is the little finger comes down to the wrist. You can actually feel a cavity, so you can actually massage that. And it's actually not just that, it's actually about four energy points here. Okay, there's another one, and then the index finger come down. You measure three fingers about where your watch is, and there's an energy point here has to do with the heart, especially with the rhythm of the heart. Okay, and then there's an energy point right here. It's very easy to find. That has to do with lowering high blood pressure. By the way, this one is very, very, very famous for lowering high blood pressure. Okay, high blood pressure is a sign that your body is inflamed. All right, and right here, and right here, and right here. All right. Madeline, I assume you talking about this energy point? Are you talking about this energy point? Yeah. So use your thumb, use the flat part of your thumb, not the fingernail, and you just push down, right? Push down like this, push down like that. right? It's very simple, right? Very simple. But you have to kind of find that point where you push down. It's not like you're hurting yourself. Okay, don't do that. But it's very clear that it is the point because you feel kind of tender, right? All right. So now we're going to learn how to scrape the inside of our palm. Once again, there's three energy point here. Okay. Please show us the palm side when you do that one. What do you mean the palm side? This one or this one? Say it again. Explain. Here or here? You mean like this? Yeah, like this. Okay. Anyway, we'll come back. Okay. When you have more questions, we'll come back. All right. So we're gonna scrape. We're going to scrape the middle. Now, some of you know this one as guat sa. That's taking it to the extreme. Guat means scrape. Sa means that you can actually see some what we would call the sand, but it's actually just you see the body changing color. So that's a little too extreme. We're not doing that. We're just going to use the handy scraping tool or knuckle and just go from the wrist to the elbow along the center line. Now, the Western scientists are really, really exploring this because they know this reduces pain and they just don't know why. And so they believe that the reason that you reduce pain is because you're energizing some um, um, chemical underneath the skin that would relieve pain. That's okay. That you can explain that way. The Chinese just basically said that if you clear the channel, there's no pain. All right. So now we're going to move up to the bone. Now on the inside of the bone is the lung meridian. So again, from the elbow to the wrist, back to the elbow, and then on top of the bone, and then on the outside of the bone, that's the large intestine, and then on the center line, right? And then the back of the fingers. Now, this one I often would just rest it on some place, and then I just scrape it like this, give it a little bit more leverage. Okay, this one actually relieve a lot of pain in my, we use our fingers so much, right? Especially me, I use my. There's a comment about iPhone, um, and then scrape, and then on outside the bone, on top of the bone, inside the bone, and then in the middle. Okay, and then one last thing we do is right underneath the little fingers, and that's the one that help you sleep. All right, it's like that. All right. Okay, now center line. Okay, so there's a comment. It says, well, what if you do the wrong point that would it cause any harm? Never cause harm. Never trying to hurt yourself. Okay, so if you do something it hurts, then stop doing it. All right, stop doing it. So when you know that you do it right, is that it's not hurting. It's just that there is that pain sensation, and when you know that you're doing right, is that eventually the pain will go away. So this is particularly true that when you scrape, it's not that smooth, and you feel like kinks inside of you, inside that, and that's clearly something is blocking. And when you scrape, eventually the kinks will go away, and your pain will go away. Right? So it's not something that you do all the time. It's just that I do this, when I, so this is what I do. When I feel that I need to take some pain medicine, which is what I used to do, whether it's Advil or whatever. Now what I do is I don't take pain medicine. I just scrape my body like this. Okay. And then the inside. All right. So now that we clear this channel, we're ready to do some energetic exercise with the fingers. And so we come back to our body, stretch our spine, lift up our shoulder, lean back, open our shoulder, relax. Then we point all 10 fingers towards the camera, lock our elbow, fold up the four fingers, lock down the four fingers with the thumb. Now we have to imagine that four fingers are the spring. So we'll wind up the spring, and the thumb is what's holding down the springs. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is for people who have carpal tunnel. Okay, it's an energy, it's a action and reaction, and you clear this channel. And carpal tunnel is the carpal tunnel is inflammation. All right. So this is the exercise that I do all the times, including when I'm on the plane, when I have enough room. I just go like this. It's very, 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 very simple, very, very effective. Okay. The problem with taking pain medicine is that number one, it hides your symptom. Number two is that it's really bad for your kidney. All right. The problem with taking vitamin is that they're not really vitamin, they're hormone. The only real high vitamin is vitamin C. The rest are hormone. And when you take hormone, it ruins your liver. Okay. So I don't understand why I have to take vitamin. I can get it from food. If I need vitamin C, I eat more fruit, you know, oranges and stuff like that. If I need vitamin E, I know I'll go figure out how you can get vitamin E naturally. Okay. There are only a few things that I actually take external. All right. So, before we turn and work on the neck, we have to work on the shoulder, right? So typical things that tells you your body's inflamed: arthritis on the fingers, carpal tunnel, frozen shoulder, right? Next thing is the frozen shoulder, right? Same thing. So open your shoulder, lift up your body, lean back, and relax. Now, once you open the shoulder, this energy point here is called the gate to the cloud, which is part of the lung meridian, the mineral meridian. So we open that first, sit up straight. Now I'm going to show you how to sit properly, which is that you actually push up your hip. Okay. Now one way to do that is that you stretch your spine, you lean forward, and then you lean back. But as you lean back, you keep your hip in place, and right. So you feel some pressure on the lower back on both sides. That's how you want to sit. Or the other way is just push up the wrist, lean back up the torso, right? Maintain that the pressure on your kidney. All right. And then back to the shoulder. Now we're going to form what's called a lotus hand. We take the middle fingers and the thumb. We stretch out all the other three fingers. Remember that these fingers are the five elements, right? And then you put the lotus fingers in front of your shoulder. You sit up straight. You push out your hip. Back of the hand facing the camera. Get ready. Go. Back of the hand facing the camera. Second time. Go. Back. Lotus hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. So it's very, very important to work on your chi. And there are so many people out there who teach us qigong and do something, right? There's chi is that's not understood right now by the Western scientists. The Western scientists focus only on the physical part of your existence, which is the body. And there's a reason why they focus on that and they cannot go beyond that is because Western science were developed under the shadow of the Catholic Church, right? You know about Galileo, who discovered that it was the sun, it was the Earth that rotates around the sun and not the other way around. And just for that, he was imprisoned for life, right? He was house arrest. And so that's why I said I have a doctorate degree, but it's in doctor of philosophy, even though I'm a scientist, even though I'm an engineer, because the only way you can talk about the truth of the universe is that you talk about it as a philosophy, because the science, the truth belongs to the church. And so that we haven't been able to get away from that. It's always about the body, it's never about the mind. The mind belongs to God, right? So that can't happen. So it's the same with Chinese, modern day Chinese, the communists. They only go from the body to the chi. They don't go beyond that because how can you have freedom of the mind? You can't have freedom of the mind. Right? The best you can do is have freedom of the body, make your consumer choice, and that's it. All right. So we're going to massage the neck now. There's a very important energy point right here. So you can take your thumb and just kind of feel it right there. Okay. Now I want you to sit up straight. Okay. Don't look down. Massage. Right. You can find that thimble. Okay. So now push in. Once again, don't use your fingernail. Push in with your thumb, with the tip of your thumb. Hold it as if you're squeezing the water hose, and then relax. Now take your right hand, put that on your left side, push it down with the four fingers, lean back slightly, and then grab the left side of the neck very gently, pull it to the right as if you're opening a channel. Same thing on the other side, push in and pull it to the left. Okay, now we go to under our ear, which is the first cavity that we'll talk about. We'll talk about eight cavities that are famous for longevity. The first one is under the ear. Under the ear is actually a very important energy point that the name of the energy point basically, if I translate it, it would be like cataract of the nerve, right? That's the word is used for cataract, but it's basically means that it's a place where you cover all the nerve energy, the nerve. So let's learn to massage that. So use your right hand, put it under the ear, and just kind of massage that, loosen it up a bit. Same thing on the other side, loosen up a little bit. Okay, and then take the right hand, put that under the left ear, and then just kind of massage across. Whisper to yourself, relax, relax. Now take the left hand, do the same thing. Relax, relax, relax. Now take the left hand and put that above your your ear, and then just come down along the bone. Once again, tell yourself to relax, relax, and then the left hand, relax, relax. So now use your finger, put it in the midpoint between this cavity and the ear and on top of the bone. This is actually, you feel the stress here, right? So if you have problem going to sleep, this is a good place to relax yourself. And the name of this energy point actually means good sleep. Okay, now come back to here, massage. And then let's learn to massage the neck by grabbing the two energy point here and then move down to the middle. There's another two, and then further down right here. Okay, now use your right thumb, the meat part of your right thumb, and just gonna massage your neck. Do the other side, massage your neck, and then squeeze some more. All right. Now let's do massage the shoulder, but let's come back to the bottom of the ear. Now we're gonna make a knuckle like this and just kind of massage here, and all the way to the shoulder, massage here, and then massage here, and then massage the shoulder all the way around. All right. Yeah. Neck massage always keep me on. Yeah, lots of people, when whatever, first thing happens is that they want to go to sleep. You know, first thing that happens when we practice is that they want to go to sleep because they relax. When they relax, they have no cortisol in the body. All of a sudden, the melatonin says, "Oh, now I have a chance." So even though it's the middle of the day, you feel sleepy because you also, for the first time, your body is filled with melatonin. Okay, you cannot sleep when you're not relaxed, right? Think about our ancestors. They only live in two mode: fight or flight or rest and digest. When they're under the sun in the yang mode, the body is full of stress hormone. You cannot sleep. Why would you want to sleep when you're being chased by a lion? It's only when you return home to the comfort of your family, you're totally relaxed, you're in rest and digest. That's when you um, um, relieve yourself of the stress hormone. The rest of the chemical will come, and then you could do what it is that you do, you know, inside the cave. And that's the thing that we lost, and we only lost it for about 60 years. For as long as I'm around, I still remember back in the days when I was growing up in Macau. There's only one light bulb in the house, and that was a luxury. That was a luxury. It was only when I got to be like a early teen that We have refrigerators and televisions and all that stuff in the house. Until then, it was just one light bulb. And so my father would work during the day, and then he will come home and he rides his bicycle home. And by the time he gets home, it's totally dark. There's nothing you can do. There's no television. You can't even read a newspaper, right? So it wasn't that long ago that we destroyed it. Well, let me see. Let me put it on a positive spin. It's only the last 60 years that finally our evolutions cannot catch up to a lifestyle. Our lifestyle has outpaced our evolution, right, by far, right? So we want to return to that. We just want to return to that and figure out ways how we could live the way that our ancestors have evolved. Maybe in 100 years we'll get to evolve to the new environment. Not right now. Not right now. Not yet. Okay. Not yet. We have to go back. And one of the things that you need to go back is to understand the importance of enzyme. You just have to understand the importance of enzyme. There's so much stuff going on in the body. Right? We know about hormone, we know about this, we know about that. We very rarely talk about enzyme. And the source of enzyme in your body is in your saliva. And most of you don't have any saliva. That's why you drink so much water. And look at me. It's been an hour since I'm here, right? I haven't stopped talking. I haven't stopped moving. I don't need to drink water because my mouth is still wet. It's full of enzyme, full of saliva. And why is it that you don't have saliva? Because you're in fight or flight. When you're outside being chased by a lion, who cares? Who cares about saliva? Who cares about what saliva stands for? Saliva stands for digestion and immunity, right? So very important to try to get the saliva back. Okay, we'll work on that, right? All right. So now we're about to massage our face. All right, massage our face. All right. So back to the center palm, a heating hand. Put that together. Now we're gonna form an empty hand. We're gonna put that in front of our eye. All right. Empty hand means that we're not touching our eyeball. Now we're gonna move. We're gonna open the eye, and if you open your eye, you see darkness, then you do it right. But if you see light, then you move your hands and you close up your fingers until you don't see any light. All you see is darkness. Okay. Now get ready. Go. First. Now, the trick is that you need to focus. You need to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. You put that on your eye. You open your eye. You see darkness. You don't feel very much. Then the second time you will feel some warmth. And that's because your eyes adjust to the darkness. Now your eyes actually adjust to infrared. That's the heat. Okay. And then put that on your eye. And let's do that one more time. Put that on your eye. Now we're going to massage the forehead, massage the face, and then massage the side of the face. And then put your center of your palm on your temple. Okay. And then we're going to massage in between the eyebrow, and you just know that there's a lot of stress here. And then we're going to massage the forehead, and then we're going to massage right here where the hair comes to a point. Then we're going to massage the top of the head, knowing that that's where the brain, the logistic, the cognitive part of the brain is. Then we're going to move back, and we're going to massage the back of the mind, the head. The brain is the memory, and then the lower part is the motor function. All this time, we whisper to ourselves, we show appreciation for ourselves. And then we're going to massage above the ear, back to the face, back to the fingers. All right. So someone asked me, right? You asked me, say, well, what about the fingertips? How's that going to work? Someone asked me the question, what if I have makeup? How am I going to massage myself? I'll massage it before you put makeup. All right. I put my makeups on later, not right now. Okay, so now we're going to come to the eye, around the eye, a very important cavity, right? I talk about the eight cavity. The first one is behind the ear. The second one is around the eye. Now, around the eye, we have 8 energy points, 3 on the eyebrow, 3 below the eye bag, and then 1 right here. So we're going to start with the beginning of the eyebrow. So I want you to use your fingertip and just touch it, and then kind of move it around, and you feel that like there's a cavity there. And that's where you want to push in with the with the fingertip, not fingernail, and you use a little bit of work force on your neck to provide that pressure. And then you go relax. And then you put your fingers in between eyebrow and you're going to massage all three energy points. And you're going to squeeze it like you squeeze a toothpaste because you also want to clear the oil tubes that would lubricate your eyes, right? Now, then you come to the three energy point below. First, you start with the corner of your eye. So you see the corner of your eye, you move towards the bridge of your nose, right around here is where you want to put your fingertip. You apply some pressure. You can feel it, right? You can feel that there's something. Now, I want you to do some eye yoga. So let's close your eye. And then we're going to move the eyeball up as if you're looking at the ceiling. Then we move it to the right as far as you can. Then move down as if you're looking at the floor. Then to the left. Back to up now. We're going to move clockwise. So let's go. Let's get ready. Up, right, down, left, right, down, left, up, right, down, left. Back to up, counterclockwise. Left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up. And then open your eyes. Right? This is called the bright eye. Very right. So now we're going to massage from the corner to the tail, right below the eye bag. And this one actually is famous for reducing wrinkles. And why do you have wrinkles? Well, because you lost some collagen. And why is it some people lose collagen faster than the other? Because you're stressful. Just like melatonin, collagen doesn't come out when you have cortisol. Okay, so learn to reduce your cortisol. Right. This is how amusing medical science is. So they are now discovering that people who have chronic inflammation are full of cortisol. So now they're introducing drug to reduce your cortisol, and you have to ask your question: why does that work? Cortisol is a steroid. Steroid is to reduce inflammation. So why do you have inflammation and steroid at the same time? And why is it that cure to inflammation is to reduce steroid and then to put steroid back in? Funny. All right, so let's two fingers right here and then like this. It's the same with too much what is that called? Cholesterol. You know, doctors are funny. You know, you go to take blood tests. You say, "Oh, you have high cholesterol." Well, actually, it's not high cholesterol. It's high LDL. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad cholesterol. No, actually, no. It's low density lipoprotein. It's just a carrier for um, uh, 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 um, cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol. Your brain is 80% cholesterol. So LDL is what carries the cholesterol to your brain, but it also carries to your vein, right? And that's why people who suffer from a stroke, when they do autopsy, the blood vessel is full of cholesterol. Why? Cholesterol by itself is not bad. That's just a symptom that the fact that your veins, your blood vessels are all inflamed and your body is trying to repair it, just like I'm trying to repair the crack of my on my wall. I put some cement on it, right? Maybe I talked a little too much. All right, so let's continue. Let's continue. Where are we? All right, so two more right here, and then two more right here. This is sinus, and then finally here. Now, when you have high blood pressure, this is the part of the body. This is the part of the body that senses that you don't have enough oxygen in your brain. So the fact that you have high blood pressure is because you don't have enough oxygen in your brain. Your lung capacity, your lung hearts are not working optimally. You don't deliver enough oxygen. So taking high blood pressure just makes it worse. All right. All right. So we've done all that. Let's go to the ear. The ear is very important. The ear actually contains all of the energy points in your body. It has the shape of the fetus in your body. Chinese believe that the energy points were developed from the fetus and then spread to the rest of the body. So here you have everything, except it's upside down, just like the fetus is upside down. So the upper part is more about your adrenal. And so this is the part that actually relaxes you. So you put your thumb on the upper part and then just kind of massage. Then the middle, you massage. Now the Chinese believe that the ear loops reflect your eyes. So this is, where your eye. And we all know that when someone has a very long ear loops, I say, wow, that person's gonna live forever, right? So ear loops are important. So you hang a little bit. Now we come back to the edge, to the corner of our ears. Then we to the edge and back to the ear loop. Now we leave the thumb behind the ear loop and put the index finger outside and just kind of massage. Okay, now we're going to massage the back of the ear, which is important for reducing I wouldn't call it reducing, it's just uh, balancing your blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, you do this. If you have low blood pressure, you do this. And just kind of massage the back of your ear. Then you put two fingers, one on the ear, one on the skull, and you massage it some more. Okay, and then same thing on the other side, and then and then like that. All right. So we do one more thing called the drumming of the ear. We put the fingers, have the palm behind. We stretch and then go 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Okay, so another one now. Piercing earrings. Okay, all right. Okay. So since I'm so good now in not being politically correct, you're asking me what to do when you decided that you would rather mutilate your body. That's what earring is that you mutilate your body. All right. Okay. So we don't have a whole lot of time left. I talked so much. And so rather than doing a full body treatment all the way to the toe, let me focus on just the 8 cavities today because I want to spend more time on meditation. I believe one of the new students today came here particularly for meditation. So we do a lot what I call mindfulness in motion. You can carry that to your everyday life, whether you are cutting vegetables or mopping the floor, doing dishes. Keep in mind that you can meditate as well, right? Focus on the fingertips, focus on the sensation of the fingertips, and that's a meditation too. But I do want to teach you meditation. Um, Sitting meditation. So rather than doing the full body, let's just focus on the cavity. So we have already done the eye, the ear. The next one is the belly button. So let's just massage the belly button. And then the next one is the armpit. The armpit is actually part of the mind meridian. So this time I'm going to remind you to use your thumb and just massage that. So you're doing two things at once, right? And then same thing on the other side. And then now I want you to massage the wrist, but keep in mind that there's 3 meridians here. So it's just the top part of the wrist, the center part of your wrist. I mean elbow, and then similarly over here. Okay, so there's 3 more cavities on the bottom, on the lower part of the body. The main one is the bottom of the feet. So let's fold back our toes, review the ball part of the area. Use our right thumb, this meaty part, and just kind of massage that. All right. So when we have more time, we do more. But today we're just gonna, because I want to spend more time on meditation. Huh? Okay, now do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we have 2 more left. One is behind the knee and one is in the core area. Okay, so let's do that. And then we're gonna do our Qigong exercise. After that, then we're gonna learn to meditate, sit down meditation. Okay, all right, so let's massage the back of our knee now. And just use your 4 fingers, massage the back of the knee. Okay, now the back of the knee is part of what we call the bladder meridians, which is the yang side of the kidney meridian. So let's learn how to massage our lower back. Okay, now we're gonna lock a knee. We're gonna move down until we get to the knee. Then we're gonna loosen our knee. Now that means that we're looking straight ahead. We're gonna tap that 30 times. Continue. All right, so we have one more. Let me move my mic so when I do my qigong exercise, it doesn't come off. So it's right here. Okay, now obviously this is where all your lymph nodes are, and so this you will find that those eight cavities have strong association with your lymphatic system. And now we're going to put a fist here. We're going to just energize that 30 times. Get ready? Go. Okay, so now we're ready for Yi Jing Jing. So Yi Jing Jing has 14 forms. It actually deal with all 12 meridians plus the two primary vessels. And so the first thing you need to do is you need to focus on the bottom of your feet. The bottom of your feet where we were massaging is called a gushing spring. So this is where the energy from the earth start to come up to your body. So we want to make sure you stand properly. Then you want to point your toes inward, loosening up your knee so you activate this one, this energy point. The Western doctor call that the second heart. This just allows the energy to come up. Then you want to open your shoulder and relax. The shoulder has this energy point called the well on the shoulder. It's as if you align the well with the source of the spring. Then you want to lean back the forehead, tuck in your chin, so the energy point above your head, called the 100 feet, where all the yang energy comes together, is actually facing the sky. All right. Now you imagine there is an opposite point, which is at the very bottom of the torso, in between your productive organ and your bowel. That's called the yang mid. This is where yang energy come together. You imagine there's a straight line between them. Then you take the palm of the hand, you put face, you put you. This is the healing hand. You point it to the ground, which means that you fold your wrist a little bit, but you bring it back so that it's on either side of that straight line. Now you close your eye, but you're looking at the center of your palm. So eye and the hands are together, which means that your mind is now on the center of your palm. So when I say go, you push. That's when you activate the chi. Okay, you ready? But it's very important that mind, body are together. No other thoughts. Get ready? Go. Come back. Focus on your breath. Now it's very important to understand the harmony between the yin and the yang. What we just did is fight or flight. Now, during fight or flight, your body release stress hormone, reduce chronic inflammation. But now it's important that you come back and focus on the rest and digest. You focus on your breath. You feel that you're breathing in. You feel that you're breathing out. No random thoughts. Completely focus. Anchor your mind on your breath. One breath. Now the second breath. And you check the inside of your mouth, see if it's very dry. If it's very dry, that means that you really weren't returning to the rest and digest yet. So next time, more focus. Get ready. Second time, mind, body together. Go. Come back to the breath. Restore the harmony between yin and yang. One last time. Open the shoulder. Get ready. Go. Come back to the breath. One breath at a time. Okay. This is called the spirit boosting palm. The second one is called pointing. Pointing means the thumb. You take the thumb, you point it to your hip. You form this half circle. You roll up your four fingers, and then you imagine putting two buckets of water on your thumb, one on each side, and you lift up those two buckets of water with your thumb as hard as you can. You're energizing both the lung and the large intestine. More specifically, you're energizing the mineral energy. Then you relax without lowering your hand. You back to your breath. Second time, Back to your breath. Completely relax. One last time. Okay, relax your fingers, lower your hand, back to the breath. Check the inside your mouth. And if you still don't feel any wetness inside your mouth, next time, put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth. Rest it where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. Okay. The third one is called the beginner's mind. This is what the baby does inside the mother's womb. They take the thumb, they put it across the palm, they roll up the four fingers, and then they squeeze the fist. This is to energize both the mind, the heart, and the pericardium. This is the fire element. And then you open up without lowering your hand. You focus on your breath. Make sure that there's some wetness inside your mouth. Second time, squeeze as hard as you can. Open the fingers. One last time, squeeze as hard as you can. Lower your hand, completely relax. Focus on your breath. I don't want you to think about the past. I don't want you to think about the future. I just want you to think about your breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I can feel it. I know I'm breathing out. Then you put your fists together. You put that below your belt, in front of your belly button, and you take a deep breath as you lift up your arm, and then you relax. Now you leave your fist in front of your nose. You bring together your elbow. You focus on your back, and you stretch the back as hard as you can, opening up those channels in the back, and then relax. Back to the breath. Second time, stretch, and then relax. One last time, stretch, and then relax. Two breaths. And then the next one is called fist above the head. You lift up your fist, you open your fingers, you open your shoulder. Now this is cardio, so you're actually doing you're working with your heart. So what you do is you roll your fist one joint, two joints, lock it with your thumb, and you squeeze as hard as you can, as if you're squeezing the blood back into your heart. And then you relax, as if the blood comes back up to the fingertips. Second time, squeeze as hard as you can, and then relax. One last time, squeeze as hard as you can, and then relax. Next one is called stacking the shoulder. You're actually working on the back of your brain, where the energy lines that we name after the gallbladder, and we were massaging there for a while, right? So the trick is you open your shoulder, you grab the daggers, you grab two daggers, one each side. You point the daggers into your shoulder and you stab the shoulder. You feel the tightness in the back of your neck. And then you go relax. Let your chi rise to the top of your head. After two breaths, same thing. Stab. And then relax. One last time. Stab. And then relax. Now this one's called the cross. It's actually stretching the upper part of your arm. So you imagine you can touch the trees on both sides. So all you have to do is you rotate your wrist, roll your fist, take a deep breath, and push. And then go boom, relax. After two breaths, second time, roll your fist, roll your wrist, roll, and then make a fist, and then take a deep breath and hold the breath and push. And then relax. One last time. Wrist, fist, take a deep breath and push. And then relax. Next one is called the front hanging. Lock your elbow. Tree is in front of you. Roll your wrist. Take, make the fist, take a deep breath and push, and then relax. Second time, push, and then relax. One last time, and push. Now, next one has to do with the muscle. So you notice that we're combining all three important elements in our practice: stretching, cardio, and then also muscle. So especially this one. Okay. So this is where we grab the bar and we pull ourselves up and then relax. Second time, and then relax. One last time, and then relax. Continue. I call this ripping the yellow page. Grab the yellow page phone book and just rip the sucker open, and then relax. Second time, relax. One last time, and then relax. Okay, now we'll swallow the chi. Actually, also swallow the saliva. This is the time that you know you're doing it wrong because there's no saliva. But if you do it right, you can collect all your salivas and swallow all the way down to here. Check your go stand. Okay, make sure you don't stand like this. Continue to use this energy point. Straighten up your back of the hand touching, and then just lower your upper body without standing up, without locking your knee. Right? Okay. Now focus. Back of the hand touching. Squeeze. This is very good for your kidney energy. Second time. One last time. Slowly turn your hand upward. Focus on the center of your palm. Without standing up, continue to loosen up your knee. You take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Jump. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, that was a very energetic exercise. So we alternate from week to week. This week is more yang. Last week and the week after is more yin. And so as soon as we do energetic exercise, we need to cool down our body. We have running out of time, but still, we're going to spend just 3 minutes focusing on the body. And what we really want to do is just slow down our mind. We slow down our mind by slowing down our breath. We're slowing down our breath by first sit properly. How do we sit properly? We focus on our legs. Make sure that if you sit like I do, make sure that either you're able to put your thigh firmly on the mat, or you put pillows and blankets so you're not using any muscle. You make sure your hands are just resting on your knee, on your thigh, on your calf, wherever. Just don't lift it up. Finally, you stretch your spine as if someone is grabbing the hair and just pull that spine. Now we sit like a bell, so this is like a Liberty Bell, and the center of your spine is like this, the clapper that hangs on the ceiling, and then you lean back, relax. So you're putting all your weight on your spine and not on your muscle, or not on your back muscle. Then you lift up your shoulder, you open your shoulder, and you relax your shoulder, and you relax it some more. It's very important to relax your shoulder because If you don't know how to breathe with your diaphragm, which most of us don't know anymore, except when we were a baby, then you're using the muscle around the lung, which includes all the muscles in your shoulder, and you accumulate a lot of stress here. So it's very important that you lift up your shoulder, you open your shoulder, and you relax your shoulder. Then you lean back the forehead, tuck in your chin, so the weight of your head is on top of your spine, and you're not using any neck muscle. Not only that, but the top of the head is facing the sky, forming a pillar, and we call that one pillar supporting the sky. Then you're loosening up your forehead, you're loosening up between your eyebrow, and you're loosening up your eyelid. So you're closing your eye, but you can still see some light coming through. And then finally, you take the tip of the tongue, you put it behind your teeth, where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth, you close your mouth. Just energize your rest and digest mode, and you start to feel the inside your mouth being a little bit wetter, a little bit wet. You need to practice that because, as I said, the saliva is the where the enzymes are. Now, there's one thing I should add. So we always talk about the body. We always talk about the body, how important it is to keep the body in good health, and we talk about the chi, and particularly the five elements: the water, the vegetation, the fire, and mineral, and the soil in the middle. We don't talk enough about our emotion. Turns out that the emotions and the bodies are tied together because the emotions are also five elements. So when you're angry, that's fire. And the part of the body that sustains that fire is the wood element, which is the liver. So those people who are angry all the time, the anger rests in your liver, or at least in your vegetation element. And you will find that people who have cancer, and if they have liver cancer, tend to be the people who are angry all the time. So not only are the emotions affects your body, but the body affects the emotion as well. And so by retaining the harmony in the body, it heals your body. It removes some of the damage that is done to your body by the emotion, but it also gives you some relief on the emotion. You actually will feel better after you do this kind of exercise. Same thing with sadness. Sadness is a water element. It affects the mineral. The mineral is your lung element. Same thing with fear. Fear is a wood element. Wood affects the water element, which means that it affects your kidney and all the other hormonal system. It's a very serious problem. And so here, when we learn to meditate, we're trying to restore the harmony, not just our body, but our mind. And the best way to do that is to combine mindfulness meditation with abdominal breathing. We want to return to when we were babies, where the only muscle available to them is the diaphragm. The body has no other muscle. And that muscle they use inside the womb to create that balance between the yin and the yang. The yin is what the mother gives them. The yang is what they develop afterwards. It is that harmony that allows them to survive, to be viable inside the mother's womb. And we want to go back to that. So the first thing I want you to do is to focus on the belly button. And when you feel that you're breathing in, I want you to relax your belly as if you're taking the belly button and bring it forward. Then as soon as you breathe out, I want you to take the belly and collapse it as if you're bringing the belly button back. That way, you're exercising the diaphragm. Keep in mind that the diaphragm is viscoelastic, meaning that the only way that you can move the diaphragm, only way that you can use the diaphragm is to relax. So when I feel that I'm breathing in, I relax my stomach, I move my belly button forward. And when I feel that I'm breathing out, I collapse my stomach and I bring my belly button back. As it turns out, you're now cycling between the fight or flight when you moved in, when you breathe in, and you're cycling into rest and digest as you breathe out. The elasticity between the two can be measured. In fact, my Apple Watch keeps track of that. It's called heart rate variability. And there has been some science that verified that a measurable HRV can actually reduce your chronic inflammation, including reversing your dementia. So let's just focus on that. I'm gonna spend more time today to really take you through this meditation as a way of not only improving your physical health, but improving your emotional health because the two are tied together. So let's just spend 3 minutes now focusing on our belly button. We breathe in, we move on forward, and we breathe out, we move back, just like that. Okay. Now we spent a lot of time here talking about the body, how it's important to maintain the harmony between the yin and the yang, which is basically maintaining the balance between the two autonomous systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Understanding that the sympathetic is when you're in fight or flight, that's when you use your stress hormone to reduce inflammation in your body. And the rest and digest is where you restore that sensitivity, essentially releasing your self healing power. We talk a lot about that. The same thing can be said about our emotional health. These days, we have a lot of stress, sadness, anger, regret, fear, A big part of that comes from expectation. We now live in a society where we have very high expectation on ourselves, very high expectation from others, whether from our parents, whether they're single parents or not. We have a lot of expectation on ourselves that we know that we have opportunities that our parents don't have. We want to take advantage of that. We do well in school. We do well in a profession. We want to be the perfect doctor, dentist, or whatever. These are all expectations. We want to be the perfect parents, even though they may not be people. We want to be perfect to our pets. We want to provide loving kindness to them. We want to be the perfect boyfriend or girlfriend. It's always about perfection, expectation. Now, last week in the show descriptions, I talked about Zen and how it's practiced in Japan, how they were practiced as it was originally delivered to them back into the Han Dynasty. And they start with simple things, paying attention. And that's basically mindfulness. They wrap the gift with a lot of attention. They everything they do is a lot of attention to details. And that's just mindfulness. But there's another part of the art that there's little talk about. And often people mistaken that as minimalism. The Japanese art is Zen art. And it's not minimalism. It's actually how they view their existence in nature. And it's often described as wabi sabi. It's actually two very, very important Zen concepts. One has to do with impermanence. In other words, even when you're in the middle of a very good relationship, things can happen and it will change. Or turn around, when you're in a very bad situation, things would happen and it will get better. And that's impermanence. And that's why the art forms are always built on natural elements, not on industrial material, because they want it to decay. They want to show that the impermanence of life. You can go and see the temple, and you can see the ages in the temple, because that's wabi, that's impermanence. And the other one is imperfection. Imperfection means that the art form is always imperfect. It's never perfect. In fact, accepting imperfection is the ultimate perfection. And it has to do with accepting that you are not in total control. You are not in total control. And you have to accept that things are not always perfect. You have to understand that expectation is just that. You cannot expect everything to be perfect. Once upon a time, a good friend told me, he said, Danny, you can have everything in your life, just not all at the same time. So let's meditate on impermanence and imperfection. Imperfection basically means no judging. I can feel it, but I don't judge it. And we built the foundation of that on being very grateful with what we have. We live according to what we're grateful for, not according to our expectation. As long as we're grateful, we can have a happy life. Even the worst is imposed on us, we can still be grateful that we have this body, that we have our health, that we have a family, that we have people who support us. Just have to find something to be grateful for. The next thing is to accept the world as is. So now that we have practiced abdominal breathing, you can feel that your stomach opens slightly when you breathe in. You can feel that your stomach collapses slightly as you breathe out. I want you to maintain that feeling. But now I want you to put your mind on the lower part of your spine. And as you breathe in, I want you to move from the bottom of the spine all the way to the top of the head. I want you to stretch your spine as you do that. And you feel that burst of energy within you. And I want you to feel grateful to that. Then, as you breathe out, I want you to come down from the top of the head through the bridge of your nose to the tongue, which is now rested on the roof of your mouth. Come all the way down to the belly button. And as you do that, I want you to relax, lean back, and just accept it live as it is. You breathe in, you straight ahead, with stop. You breathe out, you come down. Now, one of my most favorite meditation technique is when I go back to where I was born, which was a small island called Macau, surrounded by sea. So I grew up with the sea. I grew up with seeing how the wave wash up the beach and the wave go back to the ocean. Most of you think that the waves are generated by the wind. It's not really not true. Sometimes you have bigger waves because you have more wind. But even if there's no wind, there's still wave. Wave is actually generated by the earth rotation and the water just slash up and down, splash up and down. And this is particularly true when you know that there's no wind, but when the water comes to come up the beach, you actually feel the freshness in the air because it's bringing fresh air into where you are. So as you rise up your spine, I want you to imagine seeing the water rising up, and I want you to feel the life in you and be grateful for that. What I also notice is that as the water goes back to the ocean, the beach reveals itself, and you see a lot of garbage on the beach. You see perhaps somebody have some writings on the beach, maybe a footstep on the beach, and you notice that all that stuff is being washed away. The ocean takes it away, and now is not the time to grab onto them, to be attached to these bad things. Now is the time to say, I just want to let it go. I want to accept things as they are, accept that maybe I made a mistake, but I did what I thought was right, what I could do at the moment. I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to grab onto these things that doesn't belong to the beach. I'm not going to grab on to the footprints, grab on to the debris. Just let it all go. Let it all go. When I breathe in, I feel the life in me. I'm very grateful for that. When I breathe out, I lean back. I feel that all my worry, all my emotions are washed away, all my pain are washed away. I'm not going to hold on to them and just let it go. Okay? Let's sit for 5 minutes and create that peace in you by focusing on gratitude when you breathe in and acceptance when you breathe out, one breath at a time. Okay, all right. We're 20 minutes over class time. Someone says that the pictures are frozen. I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway, so that's the end of the class. OK，星期一見，多謝你哋支持。
OK，thank you，Danny 師兄。
OK，拜拜，拜拜。
多謝 Danny
Thank
師兄。
you。OK，
嘢，thank
OK，
you。
拜拜，拜拜。Okay, all right. So learn about wabi sabi, impermanence, and acceptance of imperfection. Remember what my friend Art Husky told me, Danny, young Jedi, you can have everything in the world, just not all at the same time. All right?